Hello, my name is Juan Vides, and I'm the founder and host of Winning on Wednesday. WOW is a virtual platform that brings together between 50 to 80 people weekly to share ideas, discuss their business, and get to know each other. WOW encourages the building of relationships before doing business. As I often say, people do business with who they know, like, and trust. And today's guest, we have John Hill. And John has been a friend of mine for many, many years. And I would like to introduce today's guest is John Hill. How you doing, John?
Fine, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We're going to go into more detail, but just a short, brief summary about yourself.
Well, I've been in business for over 40 years now. Okay, I've developed and managed businesses, both as national sales manager, VP of sales, director of marketing, general sales manager, VP of business development, and CEO of 3 public companies.
Wow.
I raised $7.5 million on Wall Street, and that's basically it. I put 5 years in the Navy. I finished my education at San Diego State University in 1958, and then I came back and got married in 1959. I was married for 43 years to my wife, and she died 20 years ago. Okay,
wow.
So
wow, John.
Yeah,
John. Well, first of all, thank you for your service. I always like to thank our veterans for the service because without them, we wouldn't have these freedoms. We can't take those freedoms for granted. So thank you for your service, sir. And tell us, I like to ask this question. I like to start off the meeting usually is where it all began. And we would like to talk about mom and dad because you're the reflections. We are the reflections of our parents. Our parents raised us a certain ways to do better, to do good, and to show values. And that's why I like to discuss because people take things for granted, and and sometimes they forget that they gave us life. That's the first thing. Our parents, let's face it, they gave us life. They brought us into this world. So that's why I like to start out. What did your parents do for a living?
my mother was a nurse. She was a head nurse at St. Vincent's Hospital, New York City. My father was a restaurateur, and he owned a couple of restaurants. He died at 47, cirrhosis of the liver.
Oh,
At
wow.
47, he was an alcoholic and died at 47 years of age.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, but what can I tell you?
Yeah. And any brothers and sisters?
I have a sister that's 10 years younger than I am.
Oh, wow.
And
So
and
mom,
lives in
so
North Carolina.
wow.
And
And
she's a nurse. She's a nurse too. Okay, or was a nurse, and she's retired too. And I have my daughter's a nurse. I have my aunt Flo is a nurse. My aunt Izzy's a nurse, and my cousin's wife is a nurse. So I have a lot of nurses. Anyway, yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. It's comforting to know at least you have people that could take care of you, truly take care of you and your family, because they're in the health field and nursing field. That's amazing, John. Truly amazing. That's wow. And when you were a child, did you have any role models, or what did you want to be when you want to grow up? Like, what were some of the things that you wanted to do when you were a child, if you remember?
I boxed amateur for 3 years from 1947 from 14 when I was 14 to 17, and my
Wow.
father was a lightweight champ of Massachusetts and New Hampshire in 1929, and he loved the sport, and I thought it was just a sport too. But after I gave it up when I was 17 years old, he lost interest in me, and I guess he was more of a friend than he was my father. He was more of a buddy. And he used to go to all my fights. I had 33 fights, 28 wins, and 1 draw. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you knocked people out.
No, I didn't. No,
No, I'm just joking. No, I'm just joking. But if you were a boxer, who were some of your role models as for the boxers? I mean, I'm sure you followed some of them.
Yeah, Walter Cartier, Tony Pallone, Patty Young. Okay. Patty Young was I used to work out with him. He was a middleweight boxer back in the 50s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I knew his father, who was worked on the docks, and I had worked on the docks when I was a kid on myself too, because my uncle Bill was a hiring boss down there, and they used to hire me on the weekends. Yeah.
Oh wow. So and I'm assuming with the boxing you had to be in good condition. Like you had to go training and with the Navy and all that. I would assume you were probably in good shape at that time. You had
Yes,
to been.
that's
You
right.
had to been.
Well, I went in the Navy, and I I joined the Navy in 1952 for the Korean War, and and the recruiting officer said to me, he looked at because I was a captain of the swimming team when I went to Power Memorial Academy, and he said, "Well, we have a new thing now." I said, "Well, can I learn something in the Navy?" "Oh, yes, sir." So I went to underwater demolition school in Little Creek, Virginia, and then to ABCB Beach in Coronado, California, where I learned explosives. So yeah, I put 5 years in the Navy. I made 8 jumps in Korea. Or so I tell everybody I made one jump and I got pushed 7 times, what it boiled down to.
Wow, that is truly amazing, John. That's not something I never knew about you.
I
And
don't.
what?
It took me 25 years to talk about it. I'll tell you that. Okay.
Wow, but you know what? This is what makes us, and I get that's what's the old saying? What doesn't kill you make you stronger, and this is what is part of what is your DNA. You know what the experiences of our life experiences that we've gone through. Wow, it's truly amazing. And was there other achievements in your life that you like to talk about? The Navy in itself, that's the life achievement. That's a great achievement, you know. Is there other achievements in your life that, you have accomplished?
Well, graduated from Power Memorial Academy, Irish High School in 1949, and then San Diego State University in 1958. Okay, I thought those were accomplishments, and getting married in 1959 was a big, and walking my 3 daughters down the aisle when they got married, that wasn't a big accomplishment. No,
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Uh, the other thing is, what did you major? What was your degree in?
my degree was in marketing, major in marketing, minor in engineering,
Or engineering?
and I have
And
enough credits to take my master's in psychology, but I never did it.
oh wow. And what was your first job right out of college?
Oh, I was working as an engineer for Electro Instruments, a company out in California, and I just got married, and I uh, I was working. I was on one weekend out of 7. My territory was from Canada to Florida and up to Chicago. I never forgot that.
Wow, so you travel a lot, I'm assuming.
Yes, I did. I did.
Wow, wow. Well, that's a tolls. And did you travel by car, train, plane, or everything?
Everything,
Oh,
everything.
wow. Wow. Yeah, in the beginning, I'm sure, and I mean, from my experience, when I started my career too, I started traveling a lot, and it grows old quickly, because the hotels are the same, the rooms are the same, the conferences are the same. So after a while, it just becomes, it doesn't become special. It becomes actually his work. So it's
I
not.
had
Mhm.
I had pants from Miami, a hotel in Miami. I had shirts from a place in Chicago. I had a jacket that I bought in Boston. I mean, that was my wardrobe. It was all over the place. It really was. But I learned a lot. Okay, and then I I wasn't interested in sales. I mean, I was working with companies, and I go into a company, and I I talk to the people there, and all of a sudden this guy would call me and thank me for doing his job for him, and he was getting his commission. I said, "This is something wrong with this. I should be doing sales." So I went to the guy that was in charge of field engineering and said, "I want to go into sales." And he says, "Well, you have to talk to the president." So I did, and they sent me to J. Douglas Edwards, who was considered one of the finest sales trainers in the world at that time. And I went to them, and he interviewed me. He says, "Okay, you can go into sales." And I was one of 140 people that did $1 million in sales in a year and a half. So I thought it was pretty good. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And you must have learned a lot. Out of all the places you travel, what was your favorite place, would you say, that you like?
In on on international, it was Costa Rica,
Okay.
and then Germany, and then Italy, and then France. Okay. And
Wow.
I went up to Canada a couple of times too. Okay. But primarily, but Costa Rica is beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Wow. So you really got the chance to travel the world.
I did. I did. I was very fortunate.
Oh,
I
that's
wasn't
amazing.
interested in Iran or Iraq and so forth. We didn't do anything with them at the time, but I went to Brazil. I remember flying 9.5 hours to Brazil, where there was 300 people in the plane, and by the time we landed, the kids were running up and down the aisle, and the
Did you
toilets were
did,
overflowing and so forth. So
did you drink any capereñas, as they say in the beach? The capereñas, capereñas,
yeah, right,
and they say
right.
obrigado. And so so all my Brazilian friends out there, I'll make it one day. I'll go to Brazil one day, to Rio. But I do have a lot of Brazilian friends, so it's really nice. Listen, I make friends everywhere, all over the world, and it's just nice to hear and experience different cultures, because those experiences are important. So because it opens your horizon, and it really gets an understanding of what human beings are all about, and experiencing that. And I think a lot of people have fear of not knowing, of the unknown. And I think that if you open and travel and have that experience, you kind of appreciate life and appreciate people too.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. And John, when you when you went on your own, were you nervous or scared? When you decided that you didn't want to do the 9 to 5 gig anymore. Um, where were you at
I
that
never
point?
I never did a 9 to 5 gig in my life.
Oh,
I mean,
really? Oh, wow. Okay, that's good to know. Wow.
I
So you
I
you
I was always my parents always raised me with the fact that you take any job, you do it like you owned it and so forth. So
got
I
it.
was never a 9 to 5 job that I
Right,
did.
right, right. Wow. Well, I mean, with when did you decide to go like on your own with your own company? Because I know you said you worked for it as an engineer in the beginning, and when did you decide to say shift or pivot to what you are doing now?
I uh I think I did a it's hard to remember, but it was over 30 years ago that I did that.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And I decided one day that I'm making everybody else money. I'm not making enough money for myself. And then he cut my territory, and that bothered me. So I said, every company that I worked for, I was always the top salesman, and and that and then I was doing everybody doing 100% of quota. I was doing 200 and 300% of quota, and they decided to cut my territory. And I said, wait a minute, why are you doing that? I'm making money here. I need to make money because I have a family and 3 daughters I have to send to school and so forth like that. But it didn't matter. So I decided to go out on my own, and I picked up a bunch of products, and I was doing the suggesting, and then I got into doing trade shows, and that was I was doing a lot of trade shows, both on a national and international basis. Yeah.
Wow. And I mean, I have to tell you, I have some experience of doing trade shows too. When I first started my company, I started working my career. I worked for Jeff Pulver, and he used to have these trade shows called Vaughn, which is Voice on the Net. And we used to travel a lot, go to CES, Consumer Electronics Show. So I was there. That's a big one.
Yeah, I remember.
CES.
I remember when you stay at the end of the show, and the people that brought the equipment, they'd sell it to you
Oh,
at half
wow. Yeah,
or
that's
give it
cool.
away. Yeah, I went to that. I did that a couple times too in, in
It takes like
Chicago.
yeah. This one was in Las Vegas, and I remember it was in 2005, and it took me literally 3 days to do the whole event, the whole floor, to walk the floor. It takes about 3
Yeah,
days. It's that
yeah.
big.
Well, the
Wow.
average person goes to a trade show. They visit they visit 30 booths, and it takes 8.5 hours just to visit 30 booths. Okay.
Yeah. And you know, in that the trade show world, it's a whole culture in itself, you know, because you have vendors and you have people. So sometimes this, you know, it's really a whole production. It's amazing how you have an empty room, you know, a large empty room, and all of a sudden the people put the rugs, the carpets, and the booths, and then the booth sometimes they make it interactive, and you know, and you go into this world and it's like, holy cow, where did this come from? You know, it's pretty wild how these trade shows are really organized. And I mean, the car shows, I've been to so many different trade shows at the Javits Center, but it's truly amazing, these trade shows, how some, and sometimes I've been to other ones that are not well organized as well, and those are the ones that you don't have they don't last that long, and the ones that you don't have a positive experience, but the ones that you have a positive experience are the ones that last longer.
Well, a trade show, I wrote a book, Tips and Tales from a Booth, Avoiding Trade Show Mistakes. I wrote that in 2008. And a lot of people on Long Island still use that as a book guide today. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
you know, this, that maybe that comes to a great point of our meeting of our show right now, which is the, you know, we'd like to share informations and help other business people and other businesses become better. I like to call this segment the Wow Golden Nugget. We want to leave something behind, a piece of valuable information that it can influence others. So if there's anything, any value, you know, any information that you can give us, the
Yeah,
listeners.
I think people make a mistake by not taking advantage of trade shows. They're expensive, but trade shows, you can get the best leads you're ever going to have out of a meeting so many people, providing you have the right qualification questions in line. If you do that correctly, you can close the deals. You interview the people first, okay, at the trade show. Okay, you qualify them at the trade show, and then go to their office and close on the deals. And I've done that for years.
Wow. And yeah, there certainly is. And you know, there's something, especially now with COVID and everything, we're doing everything virtually, but there's always something about impressing the flesh, you know, and being and they always say in sales, the closer you are to the customer, the greater chance of the sale. So you're there to impress the flesh. So by handshaking, it means seeing a person eye to eye contact. That's direct sales right there. That's very impactful and direct, as opposed to an email or a phone call. I mean, you can still do businesses through, you know, through that way, but it's certainly more effective from a sales point of view to have a direct contact, with physical contact, or, you know, handshake or whatever, or cheers, you know, with the with the drinks. But yeah, there's something to said that. And even with the trade shows, even afterwards, a lot of people go to network afterwards, and they'll have you know, sometimes even that's even more fun, because they'll have parties, or they'll be at the bars, and they're a little bit more relaxed, as opposed to not in a regular business setting. So the you know, there's more laid back, which, you know, it's a lot better networking that way, because sometimes, you know, in the trade shows, you're there just to work and consistently meeting a lot of people at a really fast time.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah. See, the idea is that I keep telling people, not necessarily the best people to send salesmen to. You don't want them to sell at a trade show. You want them to qualify at a trade show, because it takes longer to close a deal than it does to qualify a deal. You can qualify a client that comes to your booth in anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. And then if you ask them the right question, what are you looking for? How many do you want? When do you want them? And do you have the money to close? You know, this is how much of investment you're going to make. If they can answer those 4 or 5 questions for you, there's no reason why you can't close the deal.
Yeah. And but there are people that do waste your time as well, you know, at these shows. And I mean, I've talked to people very nice, sincere, but they're not committed, you know what I mean? And they come off friendly sometimes, but they take a lot of your time. And when these trade shows, is tough, because you gotta, like, you know, with so many people, you know, you have to find the right individual, you know.
The average person, 90% of people trade show go to do 2 things: to learn and to buy something. That's a fact.
Yep,
you know.
yep. So it's value. It's certainly value. And to your point, there are some trade shows that are expensive, the other worth it, but the price of admission. But you're absolutely right about that one. John, do you belong to any other organizations that has helped your business grow that you would like to share to our
Uh,
listeners? That maybe I always say sharing, informative, is always important.
I I've been a member of a number of organizations on Long Island. The HIA was one, and I thought that was a waste of time for small business as far as I was concerned. And that's why I started up the Long Island Advancement of Small Business, because all these many of these organizations talked about helping small businesses, but never did anything about it. And what I did was I put a business plan together, and I presented it to two people that I respected. And one person has been with me for over 10 years in the Long Island Advancement Small Business, Murray Kleiner. And he does a lot of work for the organization right now, and he's been with me for the longest time. Okay. But yeah, a lot of people talk. I'm a member of LIMBA. Okay. And I know a lot of people. I was the startup of a couple of organizations on Long Island too. I'm also a member of Long Island Connects, which is a networking group, and LIMBA are the two organizations that I really belong to at the present time, besides running and operating Long Island Advancement Small Business.
But I agree with you, John, with your statement. There's a lot of organizations out here on Long Island that have been here for many years and really don't do much for small businesses. And it's a shame because I think by being inclusive, we can, be united and do more on Long Island than that. And I'm hoping things will change. And I think things will change and start to change because I really think that the everything's starting to change and people are starting to be look at what I did, for instance. I was part of chambers of commerces before, and I tried to do changes, but they're very complacent,
That's right.
which is nothing. There's nothing wrong with that, but the problem with complacent is that with complacent you can't move. You're
That's right.
stagnant. You're stale. And unfortunately, that's the way of with me, I'm a totally different person. So I'm a doer. I like to execute and do. And
I
I like to
agree.
show the world what I can do. And that's why I started Winning on Wednesday. Because really, folks, I'm here to truly help out people. Because really, Zig Ziglar said it best. You can have everything in this world just by helping
Providing
others.
by helping others. I agree.
Exactly. So I took that to heart and I've been doing it for 3 years, and WoW has grown from leaps and bounds. It's big. I created a monster basically. And the funny thing about that, it was that I wasn't even planning to do this. It was just to really simply help people. And now, it's become a business, which is really amazing. And getting support people like yourself, John, which truly, honestly, thank you for all these years and supporting me and supporting us at Winning on Wednesday, because you're really out there to support small businesses. You're really,
I agree.
truly, genuinely out there to support business. And nothing speaks louder than actions. Actions speak louder than words. And there's a lot of people out there that collect awards, that collect, pick photo ops, but they don't do anything. Okay, it stopped with the photo ops, stop with the acknowledgments of the same people, start introducing new people. How about that for a change? New people that haven't been discovered yet, start promoting them, because they get on it. The same people get on it, over time and time again. It gets kind of boring and stale and stagnant. So I agree with what you said, John, 100%. I hope things are changing, and I hope with this type of meetings that we have here, the shows, that it encourage other people to do the right thing. Our parents raised us right. Our parents raised us to do the right thing, and let's do the right thing. And so let's stop being greedy and let's stop being selfish and let's just do the right thing and let's focus about our community. Because again, if we're united here in Long Island, we could do greater things. But
I
we are
agree.
divided. We are truly divided. And enough. Let's get back to business. Enough with this, well, playing politics. Let's get back to business, and the business should be the people. Keep the people first.
I agree. I agree
Sorry,
wholeheartedly.
John. You got me. You got a little bit, a little bit. You got me a little bit. Most folks that don't know, I ran for state office, 4 years ago, and I became, disgusted with politics. But I'm back with politics because the other party was smart enough to contact me, and they wanted me to be involved. So they talk about inclusive. They get it. Things are starting to change because they realize. Look at the restaurants around us. It's now you have Colombian restaurant, Peruvian restaurants, Honduran restaurants, and look at the landscapers. Now it's Rodriguez, Garcias, and everything. So things are starting to change in Long Island. If the people don't see that, it's time to wake up, folks.
The language, my wife was Spanish and Costa Rican, and she said the language most spoken in the United States by the year 2025 is going to be Spanish. And I see it now. I really do.
And for those folks that say, oh, English is, yes, English is important. I agree 100%. But guess what? I used to do consultant for the UK telecommunication company in the UK. And when I used to travel in the UK, my colleagues spoke 3, 4, 5 languages, spoke French, Italian, German. Do you know that if you speak more than one language, it improves your IQ? Can you believe that?
I agree.
So,
My wife was a linguist. She spoke 5 languages and translated 7.
yeah,
And
yeah.
she worked for a company for a school as an ESL teacher for 13 years.
I understand, but do you understand that people, they because they say, oh, and those are the ignorant people that I cannot stand. That they say, oh, English must be the, you have to, English is, that's it. There's other language. No, the world is open. The world is open because of technology. We're becoming one, and if you don't realize that now, then I don't know what you have been in, what rock and what world you've been living into. But the world is starting to change, and if you don't change, you're going to become stagnant.
I agree.
But and John, and enough about politics because I hate to talk about that. Let's go talk about your business. Let's go back to business. What do you do? What do you offer? What type of services do you offer for you personal self? If somebody wants to use you, what do you normally say?
I do trade show marketing primarily, and I haven't done it for 10 years because I was working with the Long Island Advancement for Small Business. I founded that in 2009, and what we do is we educate people that are in business, because today in this day and age, if you're not aware of the latest in technology, finance, sales, and marketing, your company's going to fall by the wayside. And I've proved it time and time again. So anything pertaining to business, we're there. I used to teach, I taught the MBA program at CW Post, and then I taught 20 bioscience PhD students how to get a job out of Stony Brook University. So I did that for a number of years too. But my focus is right now on, I've been running the LIASB for over 10 years, and I'm looking to replace myself and get back into doing trade shows again, because trade shows are coming back, because the pandemic killed it 3 years ago. So there's no reason to, but I still have clients on both on national and international basis.
Wow. John, there's somebody I would love to introduce you to, my friend Louis Cano, who used to work for IBM for over 25 years. He has his own app now for trade shows specifically, and we're partnering up, and his app is called Q. And what it is, essentially, it's a QR code that has all your contact information. That QR code will contain your social media information, your emails, your telephone numbers, all your everything, your portfolio. And all you have to do is just scan the code, and they have your information. So, or you're able to capture their information. So it's basically replacing business cards just by scanning directly to your phone.
Wow, that's been fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would love to make an introduction to him, and he just got a new client too. He just got Coca-Cola as a client.
Oh, very
Yeah,
good.
so
Very good.
yeah, and we're going to be partnering out with Winning on Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to using the app, and the members are going to be using the app for Winning on Wednesday. So I'm excited about that. There's a lot of great things coming to Winning on Wednesday. So John, if there's a if people want to learn more about you, what's the best way to contact you?
Well, right now it's john.hill@liasb.com, or my phone number is 516-473-7202. That's my cell phone and that phone I use for business.
Okay. Well, John, thank you so much for sharing your stories, and please, and that's pretty much it for our show, for the podcast show. I hope you enjoy our special guest as much as we enjoy hearing your story, and we keep on checking the story for the channels for more stories and inspiring the stories that can help your business grow. And if you'd like to become a member for Winning on Wednesday, simply visit winningonwednesday.com, scroll for the first time guest button, and follow directions. And I hope to see you in our next meeting. John, thank you so much. It's been wonderful catching up with you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.